Now, when you were talking to her, I mean, do you have a sense of how much of what she says is true and where the real story is, or are you?
Someone asked me, I guess it was the first interview today, about whether I thought that Joyce was being truthful. And my answer, it's still my answer, I'll stick to it, is I don't think, of course I think in terms of truth and falsity. But there's something that also deeply fascinates me. If I were to do a pie graph, I would say that the thinnest of slivers goes to truth, in the sense that almost everything that people say is not truthful in some way or another. I wrote an essay for the New York Times on lying, and there's always that outraged group of people that say, well, I never lie. I don't know about X, Y, and Z, but I always tell the truth. Well, as far as I'm concerned, show me a person who claims to always tell the truth, and I'll show you a real liar. To me, it's between lying and self-deception. I think that people deceive themselves into thinking that they are speaking the truth. And Joyce, of course, underlines that theme quite eloquently when she says, you can tell a lie long enough that you come to believe it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Did she offer you all of her the footage that she had shot, her telling the story of
a lot of it we had to find. Some of it were mercifully at BBC archives. Troy Williams, who was the gay Mormon radio host, told us about this film that was done by a recent AFI graduate in 1978. I believe 1978 or 79. He went to North Carolina and filmed Joyce. If there's a DVD, this will go on as a DVD extra. He was so smitten with Joyce. I don't think he ever made another film. This was his one attempt at filmmaking. Maybe he made other things, I'm not sure. So smitten with Joyce that he actually filmed himself picking out the suit and tie that he was going to wear for his interview. It's absurd. The whole thing is just utterly absurd. And then he filmed those scenes, which are the bookends to tabloid. Mm-hmm. People say, did you hire an actress? Where did that material come from? It actually has tortured a number of viewers, because they would say, well, it looks so much like Joyce. An actress could never really do that. But how did he find that material? Well, that's how I found it. It came from that film, which is, over 30 years old, and it's great. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's a fabulous bookend, fabulous beginning and end to the movie.
Yeah. So did you know early in the process this time around, yes, there is a movie here? Or?
I sort of did, although, like all of these things, I worry. I mean, am I going to have the material available to tell the story? Mm-hmm. And I think there is the right number of interviews. I think that there's a story there. I think less than those 6 people, perhaps not, but those 6 people do the trick.
Yeah. I think there was something that I saw a video of a portion of the conversation that you and Werner Herzog had yesterday as part of the festival, and you were talking about that, that line between fiction and nonfiction filmmaking is a place that really interests you.
Well, yes. And a place that that Werner clearly inhabits. It's hard really to define, and it can happen in so many different ways. I've often thought that normal distinction that we make between fiction and nonfiction is spurious. Because after all, there are fictive elements in documentary and documentary elements in fiction. It's not black and white, as people might have us believe. And often I think of the difference as being the difference between the controlled and the uncontrolled, the spontaneous and the premeditated. It's playing with those ideas, I think, that is really incredibly interesting in film. And I like to think that's, part of the essence of what I do. And we were talking, Reed and I were talking just before you came in, about the difference between an actress. I made a film about Temple Grandin, and the difference between Temple Grandin playing Temple Grandin and, say, Claire Danes playing Temple Grandin, or some future version of the Joyce McKinney story with someone playing Joyce McKinney. I guess my choice, if there were to be any choice, would be someone like Scarlett Johansson. But what you lose in the process is there's a kind of uncertainty when you hear Joyce talking, when you hear a real person talking. Is part of it performance? Is it sincere? Is it ingenuous? Does she believe what she's saying? Is it a lie? Is it self-deceived? Is she crazy? Is she truly in love? Is she the ultimate romantic? Is she some version of Dido and Aeneas, of love that continues after death? Who in hell is she? There's a mystery about the protagonist, the central figure in the movie. I'm always fascinated by complaints that I haven't defined this character precisely. And by that I assume I haven't defined the character in such a way as to eliminate all ambiguity or uncertainty. But that would be, in truth, truly disingenuous on my part. The claim that I understand this woman, or that there's not confusion or uncertainty on my part about who she is. I mean, put me on a lie detector. I mean, I find Joyce confounding, and if I've done my job correctly, the movie captures that. It includes that in the movie itself.
Right. I think I think the kind of filmmaking that you do has always made the Academy a little uncomfortable. I mean, I know you have one. T-Bone Burnett told me a story years ago about being at your house just before the Oscars, and he was complaining about something, and you said, "Look, Oscarosis has set in." Do you think there's a cure for it? Do you think that this rich area of documentary filmmaking is
well, everybody wants to be acknowledged by their peers, and I'm no different from the kid down the block in that respect. And the Oscar is an effective way of promoting a film. I'm not saying anything even remotely controversial here. Everybody knows that. And it's hard. It's hard to get documentaries seen by the general public. And say with The Fog of War, was the Oscar instrumental in getting it seen by a wider public? Absolutely. I don't know if I'll ever get nominated again, and I don't think I will ever get another one of those statues, but I'm certainly glad to have had one.
Right.
One is okay.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thanks very much.
Thank you.